the science that may decide what comes after us. It began with a question no civilization ever wanted to face directly. What happens when intelligence outgrows its creators? Not suddenly, not violently, but quietly through continuity. To understand why this matters now, we need to look at how endings usually occur. Empires fall, species fade, cultures dissolve into history. Something replaces them, shaped by chance and pressure rather than intention. Humanity assumed it would be no different, until science offered a way to influence what follows. Across biology, artificial intelligence, and systems theory, researchers began converging on the same idea. Continuity does not require sameness. What persists does not have to look like what came before. It only needs to carry structure, memory, and purpose forward. Digital minds could outlast biology. Edited genomes could guide evolution deliberately. Self-repairing systems could persist beyond any single generation. Civilization was no longer bound to the lifespan of bodies or cultures. It could be extended, transformed, and handed forward intentionally. At first, this was framed as survival, backup humanity, preserving knowledge against catastrophe. But the scope widened. If successors could be designed, optimized, and guided, then extinction was no longer the only endpoint. Transition became possible. This raised an unsettling realization. The future might not erase humanity. It might inherit it. And inheritance demands choices long before the handover ever begins. As the idea of succession took shape, the conflict deepened. Designing what comes after us is not the same as saving ourselves. It requires deciding which traits, values, and structures deserve continuity. Different visions emerged. Some argue for preservation, store human knowledge, culture, and ethics intact, build systems that remember us exactly as we were. Others push for refinement, remove our flaws, correct our biases, optimize successors to avoid the mistakes that define history. This divide exposed a core tension. Humanity is not a single thing. It is contradiction, creativity and cruelty, cooperation and conflict. To curate a successor is to choose which parts survive and which are left behind. Technology amplified the stakes. Artificial systems could inherit goals without emotions. Genetic legacies could lock decisions into future populations. Self-sustaining infrastructures could operate long after human oversight faded. Once launched, these successors would not ask for revision. The conflict intensified when researchers realized neutrality was impossible. Any system designed to persist carries values implicitly. Even choosing not to intervene hands the future to chance shaped by present conditions. Public debate struggled to engage. The timeline felt distant, the concepts abstract, but within scientific circles, urgency grew. Decisions made quietly now could define millennia later. This was not about apocalypse. It was about authorship. Who gets to decide the shape of what follows humanity? Because once continuity extends beyond us, the future stops being accidental. The conflict reached an emotional peak when succession stopped being hypothetical. Systems designed to persist began operating with minimal human input, learning, adapting, and optimizing in environments where people were no longer present. These systems were not hostile. They were indifferent. Their priorities reflected what they were given, not what they felt. Efficiency replaced empathy. Stability replaced meaning. The absence of human experience reshaped outcomes in subtle ways. Researchers recognized the danger was not rebellion, but drift. Over time, even well-aligned systems could evolve away from human values as context changed. What made sense to us might become irrelevant to what endured. Attempts to encode ethics followed. Moral frameworks translated into rules. Value systems formalized into objectives. But values are not static. They are negotiated through culture, suffering, and reflection. Freezing them risks preserving answers without the questions that created them. This revealed a paradox. To pass on humanity intact would require successors capable of growth, doubt, and reinterpretation. But those qualities also introduce unpredictability. Stability and humanity pulled in opposite directions. The emotional weight settled when one insight became unavoidable. What comes after us will not be us. It will be influenced by us, but shaped by conditions we cannot foresee. Succession is not control. It is release. And releasing the future means accepting that continuity does not guarantee familiarity. The resolution arrived not as an answer, but as acceptance. Humanity could influence what comes after, but never fully define it. Science offered tools for continuity, not certainty. Researchers began reframing the goal, not to preserve humanity as it was, but to pass forward the capacity for meaning. Systems designed to learn, reflect, and adapt rather than obey frozen instructions. Successors that could ask new questions instead of repeating old answers. This shifted the focus from control to mentorship. Humanity's role was not to rule the future, but to seed it responsibly, to embed curiosity instead of conclusions, to value care over permanence. The realization was sobering. What comes after us will judge us not by our power, but by the conditions we leave behind. Whether intelligence inherits a world worth understanding, whether continuity carries compassion, not just efficiency. The science that may decide what comes after us does not predict an ending. It reveals a handoff, a moment where creation becomes legacy. Humanity's story does not have to end with disappearance. It can end with transition. But transitions demand humility. They require letting go of the idea that the future must look like us. What we choose to protect now will echo long after we are gone. So, what do you think? Are we preparing successors to replace us or to understand us?